Arrakis. Dune. A planet that is both a volatile desert wasteland and the most precious jewel in the universe. For it is only on Arrakis where the spice melange can be found. The spice has shaped humanity for a millennia, and it is the foundation that makes interstellar travel possible. Fortunes rise and fall as quickly as the sands shift on Arrakis. It is a place where a smile and a quiet word can cut as easily as a crysknife, and nothing is what it seems. Welcome to Dune.
Oh yeah. All right. I think we're live now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're live.
So hello. I am Jen, aka SavageSparrow, and welcome to Weave the Tale. Tonight we are playing our final episode of Dune: Adventures in the Imperium by Modiphius Entertainment. We are so super excited to be here, but before we get into the blood, sand, and spice, let us introduce our players. Also if you guys want to talk about where you started versus where your character is right now, as we're getting into this last episode, like the final thing. Paul, let's take it off with you.
I started with an agenda, and that agenda has almost been fulfilled, but I don't want to say what it is because it's the last episode. So there you go.
Agendas
Weirdly
in
enough,
Dune?
I've had a character motivation the whole time that no one's delved into, because I'm clearly just a stabby sociopath. It's fine. I don't have my own thing going on. Nope. Raul's very much on the cusp of getting everything he wanted when we started the game off with. So we'll see how it ends. If it all comes crashing down, or if it actually happens. So we'll see. That's what I got there. You can pass it off to Jace, because as we all now know, Jace is a giant.
There was a discussion before this.
Yeah,
Jace is really tall for everyone who's
I'm
watching.
6'7".
Else.
I'm 6'7".
Wow,
Sorry.
really?
Yeah,
Yes,
like,
really.
I'm not used to
I
feeling
believe
short.
it.
I'm not used to feeling short.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, it's good.
Zev, I could almost literally word for word repeat everything Paul just said.
Once again,
So I'm not gonna.
agendas in Dune?
Mm-hmm.
That's what this world
Get
is.
out
So
of
yeah.
here. Yeah.
But no, seriously, Zev is very much on the cusp of getting everything they ever wanted. Well, a huge step in that direction anyway. What, their purpose has been. But we'll see what happens. Who's next?
I believe it is Miss Allie.
All right. Well, at this point, I would hope y'all know me. I'm Allie. And at this point, Cassandra is somehow... Am I the only one without some weird secret agenda?
You have an agenda.
Yep.
Yeah,
Your
I
choice,
guess.
friend.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But yes, I will say this. Cassandra has made her choice. So I guess we'll see what it is, won't we? But, funnily enough, if all goes well, we are on the cusp of fulfilling my entire character ambition. The one I wrote down on my sheet when I made this character. So we'll see how this goes.
I'm so happy. Alright, and finally, Mark, who was missing last week, the triumphant return.
Yay!
I was. The prodigal son returns. I am Aw. I'm Mark Q. Anderson from Mondo Cane Publishing. I'm really happy to be back. A whole lot has happened. I've been watching behind the scenes, and holy cow, the last episode was intense. The episode before that was even more intense, and this one is going to be even more intense than the last two because, number one, I'm here, and number two, it's the final. The last one. This is the finale of Dune Blades of the Hidden, and I want to thank everybody who's watching for paying attention for this long, for allowing us to play this wonderful game from Odysseus in this wonderful setting called Dune, which I love so much. I don't have an agenda. My agenda is just to be, and I think that's really part of Dr. Maharil's agenda as well.
All right, thank you guys so much. Once again, I'm Jen. I've been running this game. I am, both excited and a little sad that we're on this final episode. When it started, I had a lot of big ideas, but I wasn't sure if they would work. But I'm very happy to hear from the sound of it that the exact kind of game experience I wanted to deliver, it sounds like that happened. So yay! This season of Weave the Tale, once again, is sponsored by the aforementioned Modifius Entertainment, who made this lovely book. Please buy it. It is incredible, and then you can have your own adventures in the Imperium.
For the artwork
Also,
alone, it's worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
God.
artwork's
Oh,
beautiful.
yeah.
And there is so much
1000%.
love poured into this book. Like, also, if you are somebody who doesn't want to necessarily read how many dozens of Dune books are there now after the son started writing, you don't want to read all of those. They have done a really excellent job of compiling all of the lore of everything available into something that is easily digestible. So you can definitely just dive right in, and you have everything that you need to play in this super awesome universe. But yeah, we are Weave this season was also sponsored by Green Ronin Publishing, Free League Publishing, and Imagining Games. Once again, we have some great rewards set up for retweet goals, donation goals, and sub goals. Hitting the goals helps support the channel as well as us, the cast and crew. So consider checking them out. But yeah, otherwise, let's get into this game. To begin, when we last left our heroes, you have just successfully completed Conley. Cassandra utilized the voice to force the head of House Evanesque to yield, and then subsequently beheaded him. Raul fought an incredible duel against a Sardaukar. That was, sort of the trump card for this guy. Zev was in orbit, managing tactical maneuvering, making sure that Theron was able to get in and be the inside person without getting caught. And the doctor had been processing a very intense spy sequence, but had recovered enough to do his job and save some lives. Unfortunately, he was unable to save the life of Tharsha, the handmade bodyguard to Dahlia of House Adar, and because she tragically fell to the poison of a hunter-seeker droid. But you saved Cassandra, so well done. That's the important one. And yeah, so all of these characters, in one way or another, were tested with this siege, and emerged victorious, but not without scars and damage, and the various other traumas that come from intense war and battle, especially with something as personal and emotional as Conley. But again, the beast known as Raban has your mother held captive. So I imagine you do not spare a moment to get your quarry to that monster, to pay for her release. Am I correct?
You are correct.
Okay.
We do have access to the Evanesque ornithopters.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you do.
You have access to the Evanesque everything.
Yes, you do have the very swift and speedy ornithopter. I imagine the three of you would go with one of your pilots, and then leave like the forces of the other houses to just follow up in ground vehicles and everything, because Raban's holdings are also in Carthage, because this is, again, that city of just vice and gluttony and the most extremes, because this is a city remade to be Gidi Prime on Arrakis, or at least as close as they can get it to. So as you're flying in the ornithopter, you can see, again, the results of the battlefield. The civilians that were able to survive have successfully fled, but, there is an uncomfortable amount of bodies in the streets. And interestingly, you would see that there are Arakins who are actively harvesting those bodies for the blood, because on Arrakis, blood can be converted to water, and water is the most sacred thing there is. So you also see your pilot drifts over as you're flying over the city, and you see that Colosseum where the gladiatorial fights are happening. It looks like a very twisted and brutal version of an American Ninja Warrior set, with like people essentially throwing themselves at these like meat grinder sorts of death traps in the hopes of, gaining whatever little bit of an edge that they can, because it's either, if I win, I can have water today. If I lose, I die anyway. At least this way I die quickly. And you know as you pass that, you can just see the resignation, or at least, you imagine it has to be this way, because nobody is fighting this brutality. This is the way of life for these people right now. And it is hard and it is cruel, but this is what they know under the person you are meeting. The fortress itself is a heavily it is as expensive as you can possibly imagine, because again, this is the wealth and resources of a major house, making it into something that aesthetically is an outward vision of their own brutality. So, imagine again those heavy Gothic spikes, the oppressive looking walls. This is not a place where anything is beautiful. It is twisted, it is dark, it is cruel. You can feel that discomfort, like you're entering the maw of something, as your ornithopter is cleared to land in the landing bay of this estate. You are greeted by servants who keep their eyes downcast the whole time. It is very clear that, they know that even if to break protocol in any remote way would be certain death or worse, because you have also heard the rumors of the creatures that the Harkonnen keep, of particular servants that displease them. So eventually there is a mentat who greets you and leads you forward into the estate properly. Is there anything going through your minds right now? Do you say anything to each other or on the Thopter ride over?
I would, Cassandra would be fairly quiet for most of the Thopter ride. I mean, she would take note of the bodies, the toll, the brutality of the Colosseum, the stark kind of grim atmosphere of Carthag itself. And yeah, she just kind of quietly takes all of it in. Her expression, kind of this mask, and yeah, she doesn't say much. She trusts that her people, her people know how to behave. Like, she doesn't need to say, like, watch what you say here, because they know. They're not dumb.
I'm getting a feeling like we're coming home. It's kind of excited. But lady, you look nervous.
I just want to get my mother back and get out of here.
Well, there are many possibilities. Mother being free or not being free, either one is going to happen. I'm sure, Zev, you've run through the permutations.
I'm not there
what's
yet.
more likely.
You can talk to
Our
them on a communicator, though.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That was on a little communicator that I was retconning. Zev, if you can run through the permutations and just tell me what the likelihood is that we will choose that one path which will free the lady's mother.
Cassandra turns
the
off
probability.
her communicator.
There is no way to predict that. The beast is completely unpredictable. Defies any sense of calculation. Trust
he is a variable.
Cassandra, and she will bring her mother home.
Well, when she returns, she'll let you know what that probability will actually be. I'm excited, but I'm also scared for everybody here.
There's plenty of that to go around. It won't be getting easier anytime soon.
Zev, that's the fun part. I turn off my communicator.
And at this point, I'm probably getting a shuttle together and telling the ship to go home. And probably on my way, after a few minutes to meet up with them, but I'm not there yet.
I imagine that Dahlia, who had stayed behind, as well as Dimitri, would also ask if they could accompany you to then, be on the ground with their forces.
Well, I can't actually ask at this point. Well, Raul still has his communicator, so I'll relay that to Raul to find out.
Or wait.
Raul is fine.
Yeah.
Raul will tell them to meet up with their forces. That's just totally fine. He will also send some orders to Samuel to stand by to do some things. And then...
Yeah, Cassandra would have left hers on, but she wasn't going to sit there and listen to people talk about the probability of whether her mother will come out of this alive or not.
Yeah.
Understandable.
That's fair. So yeah, you are led into this grand, not a grand ballroom, but like a grand receiving room where, this is, excuse me, where all of the, that the way that Raban has set it up is, it is meant to be that his throne is set high upon this dais where he can look down upon anyone who is coming to him in an attempt to petition him for aid of any kind. And you know very much that only at this point the most desperate make this attempt, because everyone else on Arrakis has long learned to solve their own problems. So when you and again, it is that same sort of situation where everything is colored in a very black stone, with marbling in red and orange. You know them to be like the Harkonnen colors. It is subtle, but it almost gives that feeling like this is old blood that has been soaked into the stone somehow. The beast himself sits lazily on this throne as if, this isn't even worth his time. And through your passive scrutiny, you know that when the beast is bored, that is when he is at his most dangerous. Your mother sits to his right, on a fine chair, but like very much, so it is set up so that way, even though she is seated, it is almost like she is at his feet. She has been redressed in a gown of black with some of those same like red and black Harkonnen colors. And most pointedly, there is a collar around her neck. The implication is subtle, but with your Bene Gesserit senses, it is exactly. It is very easy to understand what's going on. But Raul, with your passive scrutiny, you notice that the Lady Leandra, her eyes are not fogged; they are quite clear. She knows exactly where she is, and she has that perfectly stiff posture of being like the embodiment of nobility and grace, as if just that act in and of itself is her own way of defiance in this situation. There is a man shackled to the floor in front of the throne, desperately crawling, trying to climb the steps as Raban lazily flicks droplets of water in his general direction. You can see that this man is obviously starving and dried out, clearly in need, like incredibly dehydrated, and the droplets of water that fall are just out of his reach. His wrists and legs are almost raw from where the shackles have dug into his skin as he's trying to go against it to get that sustenance. And only at this point does Raban look up. What does Cassandra look like in this scene? What is the rest of you like? How are you dressed? What are you? Have you freshened up since the battle? Like, what are you all looking like as you're going in there?
Well, Cassandra is still wearing her attire from the assault, which is kind of I would call it like a fitted combat suit. It's completely black. It's closely fitted, but it still has that kind of like the Bene Gesserit hood thing going on. So she's got her hood drawn up, but the most notably is that she is spattered quite obviously in blood. It is across her pale features. She has not bothered to clean herself up at all. It's like the moment things were done at the Evanesque estate, she grabbed the heads, jumped in an ornithopter, and came over here. And her expression is just grim. There's no horror. There's no there's no fear. There's no uncertainty. If anything, the only thing there that could be discerned from that mask is anger. She is also carrying a sack.
Dr. Maharil would have equally been rushed with the lady, but did make a little bit of an effort just to kind of clean his face up, clean his hands up, just out of respect and glory of Raban. Maybe even put on a sash so that there's at least some semblance of formality, despite the stained and torn nature of his clothes, given the last few scenes.
What about
the only thing clean on Raul is his blade. He follows the example of his liege and looks like he just walked out of the fight. And the only thing clean is his blade.
Oh, I love that detail. That is incredible. So
he watches the surroundings more than he watches anything else. Like, he is looking around the rest of the room, even though the room is designed to draw attention to the beast. The beast will stand up and do his own dirty work, but he's fairly sure he's looking for all the other hidden things to kill people in this room.
Yeah.
Because he assumes they are there.
So the obvious is very much that you are the path leading towards the throne is flanked with Harkonnen troops. Just in their, and they're standing so disciplined that they might as well have been statues in and of themselves, with, again, just the absolute control and discipline by which they are not moving. Like, it makes you wonder if they're even blinking at any point. But beyond that, there are... can you roll me a... let us say... discipline, to see if you can spot any hidden naughty things.
Sure.
discipline and truth, maybe?
I would say discipline and duty because he's doing it to make sure that his liege is safe,
Okay.
because
That works.
his own personal safety is less important in this particular case.
Yeah. Okay with that.
Definitely keeping cool in this situation, because if you don't, you're dead.
Okay.
Don't notice. Nope, don't notice anything. Roll the complication, so you can have that
good.
as what you will. Yeah,
It's carrying over from last week.
Oh,
it is.
well-
I mean, it's me noticing something, so I clearly didn't notice something that could get us killed later, unless there's something extra crazy. Like,
Yeah.
or
Space
she could
God
just
have mercy
convert
on
it
us.
right away.
So basically, yeah, I will say that like you like sort of squint into a particularly dark corner, and you kind of feel like one of the shadows might be alive, but then you sort of like shake yourself out of it, as because you know obviously it's been a long day. You fought a crazy war. You're probably just like you had to take some stims to stay awake. It has to be that, you know. That's not, that thing had far too many legs. Like that's not a thing that happens.
Well,
So yeah.
While we're I'm sorry to interrupt, but while we're rolling here, I wonder, given my current enlightened state,
Yes.
would there be I'm kind of still thinking about what Zev said in regards to that unknown probability, and I'd like to maybe try to glean, you know, if any, if I can kind of perceive any kind of either correct path or even all the paths, or any possibility utilizing that. I'm not sure how that would work from a mechanic standpoint. Maybe rolling enlightened and understand,
Let's see.
or faith and understand.
Yeah. I think actually it would probably be discipline and faith. Because it is, you know, you like mastering this part of yourself. To like see through the noise and glean some sort of order from the chaos. I'm gonna say the difficulty is let's say the difficulty is 4, because this is, you know, very hard and you're trying to do it at will. Versus like before, where you have sort of, you know, had this hit you as this river of consciousness and everything.
Okay, so the two would be faith. Did you say it's faith and discipline?
Yes.
Okay.
And you should have momentum too. Okay. Now the 17 is a complication. But because of how high the difficulty is, but that's okay. So yeah, so basically, your eyes, like, you let your mind wander for a minute, as again, you at this point have felt, had enough of an understanding with the nature of the prescient dreams that you've had, that you feel like you can will this state again. You feel your muscles relax as you sink into this sort of inky darkness, and it very much takes on the quality of that marbled floor, where once when you were in that darkness, you felt as if you were walking along a still pond and sending little ripples and watching as the ripples of different fates changed and twined depending on which step you took. At this point, those ripples all appear to have those violent red cracks that are reminiscent of the marble of the Harkonnen floor. You feel deep in your heart that, like, no matter what step you take here, there none of it matters, because there is nothing but destruction and bloodshed at the hands of the Harkonnen in your future, in the future of everyone here. You see hope turn to despair, salvation into a lie, and I'm going to say that you, when you awaken from this trance, you have the condition. Let's say we'll give you fevered again, because that was a good one. And that is your complication.
I'm gonna walk
so I
just a
imagine you're
little
just
bit
like
closer.
sweating.
Yeah, and I'm gonna stand just a little bit closer to Lady Cassandra. I'm just gonna as we're walking, I'm gonna kind of slowly creep more next to her to try to find at least just a tiny little bit of comfort. Maybe feel the warmth of her next to my arm, so that it keeps me slightly grounded, as just a minor desperate attempt as I quietly suffer.
She'll glance over at the doctor, kind of, arch a brow a little bit, but really her attention goes right back to the situation at hand, to Raban, to her mother. Yeah. In effect, I would like to use one of those momentum, actually, to obtain some information.
Okay. Sure.
And I'll be using hyper awareness.
Okay.
First off, her mother.
Yes.
I would like to get a sense of, other than, like, because her mother's got that kind of stony lucidity, but I want to get more of a sense of how she's doing, because that stony lucidity could go several different ways, and
Yes.
I want to get a better sense of where she's at. Is she being, defiant and not wanting to be here? Is she weirdly wanting to be here now that she's lucid? Like, that kind of thing. Like, where is she at?
So basically, what you realize, as you're using your senses and pushing them to this extreme, you recognize that this is the, again, for at this point in your life, you have only known your mother, you have mostly known your mother as the sad, grieving woman, this creature who has been quite mad and, driven to this state of despair, where the only comfort she has been able to find has been in those visions from the spice. But the woman before you is someone that you don't necessarily recognize, because this is the person that you specifically realize is your mother, the Bene Gesserit. So you realize that, yes, she has her back straight, like, she is playing this game because that is her role to get out of this situation. But she knows that she is in control of it, and by playing this game, most importantly, she has been able to keep herself ungagged.
All right. And the other piece of information is I want to get a sense of Raban. other than the fact that he's bored, clearly.
Mhm.
But I mean, he sees us walking in, a very rumpled doctor and two people spattered in blood. One
Yeah.
of them carrying a sack that may or may not be dripping. So, like,
So I will say that he was bored. But, you know, seeing the blood, you now have his attention.
excellent.
So do you speak first?
I will actually. I will walk as close as as close as I can manage. I doubt they'll let me ascend the steps, but I will walk up. And she will, at the very least, at the moment, ignore the person like in chains
Yeah.
on the ground, because she's very focused on this. And she will look up and meet his gaze dead on, and she will say, "You wanted your pound of flesh." And she'll dump the sack of heads onto the steps. We brought extra.
He
Raul will position himself, as a side note, Raul positions himself between the bewildered man and what Cassandra is doing. Just in case he feels the need to lunge for blood, do anything stupid. He needs to not take away from what is happening, and if I have to stomp him out to do that, that is my job right now.
Yep. So Raban looks at you and says, "You are lucky that you are wearing my colors, little Lady Lucinor. Because when you address me, you should be addressing me as my liege."
Of course. My liege. And she will bow. But never once, like, she keeps her eyes up and never once breaks eye contact the entire time.
He shifts positions and takes the goblet he had been flicking water out of and dumps it like off to the side, so like the opposite direction of where Cassandra is sitting. So the poor guy like dives for it and ends up, you know, you hear this sickening crunch as one of his shoulders gets dislocated in the process of reaching for this thing, but he does manage to get it and just greedily laps it up like, you know, like it is that lifeline of exactly what it is, this holy water that he had been denied for so long. And Raban makes a lazy gesture, and another servant like climbs forward and picks up the sack and lifts it up to him so we can like casually peek inside.
Oh, she straight up dumped the heads out. She dumped the heads out on the steps.
Thunk, 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 thunk,
Gotcha.
thunk, thunk.
Okay, never mind.
Like, dump them out and then toss the sack away. Like, the sack is no longer important.
So yeah, so then in that case, he just shifts positions so he can like look down at them more carefully. So these are the creatures responsible for the death of Chadon.
Yes.
Can you roll me a let's say a discipline test? I'm gonna give it to you at difficulty 2 because you know you are lying under pressure right now, but you do have momentum.
All right. Let's see here. discipline, and you know what? I'll go with duty. This is duty.
Mhm.
And I'll use one of those. I'll use the momentum, just because this is fairly important.
Yep.
And yes. I have no foci for that, so...
Ooh.
Oh, you kidding me?
Oh no! But since it's only
Um,
difficulty 2, those are not complications. So yay. I will. You can. Let's see. I will say that. When you had used the. I am fine retroactively giving you a determination for using the voice against what's his face, because that was such a baller moment. And just Cassandra coming into her own with the Bene Gesserit side of herself. So if you want to spend that point of determination to re-roll that, I will allow that.
You know what? Because that's... Because that would be... Is that my only point for this time? For this session?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless you do something
Well, it's kind of
that... Yeah.
It's kind of important that he believes us, so I will go ahead and reroll it. No foci. Are you kidding me? And one's a complication.
God, that has a complication. Fuck. Okay.
And I imagine
right.
you can't. I can't retroactively use the voice, so I'm just gonna go with it.
And also using the voice on it would be terrible.
Well, to note, it is increasingly subtle the fewer successes you purchase with it. Purchasing one success with it would be an incredibly subtle usage of the voice. That being said, retroactively, I don't imagine I can. So I will roll with my unfortunate consequences here.
So, like, I imagine he, like, again, is very, just in his mode. And then when he hears you say that, why do you lie to me, witch? And you see the Lady Leandra flinches when he says that.
My liege. Oh, terrible.
What is this thing that dares to speak in my presence when I have asked you a question?
At this point in time, I strike the doctor, because if I don't, this is going to go downhill quickly.
Yep.
I do not do so brutally. I do so in a manner that expects and employs violence and shows that I'm acting as her will, but I do not do so in a manner that is designed to cripple or permanently maim him.
Yeah, I take it as a much needed correction, and it gets me grounded and like kind of grounds me back to reality to shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of look at the ground like all like, as I should.
What aren't you telling me, Lady Lucinor?
Should look down at the second head. That one of these heads belongs to a Sardaukar. In the service of House Evanesque.
Sardaukar, the Emperor's elite. You are telling me the Emperor is moving against us?
All I am saying is that House Evanesque, whose fingerprints have been all over the unfortunate demise of Chadden, had a Sardagar present as we entered their inner sanctum. Either the Emperor is involved, or they're moving quite a lot of Solari to make it seem like he is.
And you were able to defeat a Sardaukar in combat. He looks at Raul.
He waits to acknowledge that he can speak.
Yeah.
I did, my liege.
Like,
I removed his head myself, and he presents the blade, and with this blade, he presents it in a peaceful manner as an offering if he wants it.
Vahn would gesture to, a servant to, again, take the blade from Raul and bring it closer so he can look at it. He, tests the hilt and the strength of it.
Yeah.
Huh. And, it looks for, the servant looks very anxious, as Vahn is holding this knife. But,
it's a long blade, but it's a
as
blade.
He's holding the long blade, with that very obvious, oh god, is this going to be handed to me with my blood on it, or do I get to keep my blood on the inside of my body? But it appears, blessedly, that Vahn is not bored enough. So he hands the blade back. It's not often that I misjudge the strength of those who are beneath me. And you can see that, for those who are looking at the lady Leandra, there is that moment of just I want to kill this motherfucker. But he looks at Cassandra again. So, Conley is complete then.
it is.
And I suppose that you and your allies have already begun to divide the spoils of this war.
As we have, with an appropriate measure being provided to our betters, of course.
My uncle will also be getting a portion of this, I imagine. Right.
Of course.
Of course.
House Harkonnen will receive its fair share.
Fair. I really don't like that word.
Well, it is a word that does have different meanings to different individuals, does it not? What is fair to one might not be fair to the other. We will ensure that the peace that House Harkonnen receives, it will find fair.
have my mentat speak to yours to settle the accounts. If I do not find they are settled to my liking, nor the liking of my uncle, it is not difficult for more of your family to become my honored guests again.
Understood, my liege.
And with that, he sort of makes a dismissive gesture to the Lady Leandra. You know, like as if one is dismissing like a favored pet, almost. You may go. I hope you have enjoyed your time by my side as much as I have enjoyed your presence in my court, my lady. And you see as she very, you know, again, just that epitome of noble grace and pride of, you know, this is mine and you will not take this from me, regardless of what you think this situation is. She does treat it like she was his honored guest and rises and does the full curtsy, like the most performative, elaborate curtsy. And then very, you know, like with those deliberate steps, not rushed or hurried in any way, heads down to meet you at your side. You see she, with her back to him and just out of sight of the guards around them, she does very quickly flash the Bene Gesserit, you know, hand signals. And it is very much the, I knew you would come for me, my daughter.
Yes.
Also cute!
So, yes, Kitty. She will make a. She won't make any signs because she's facing the guy, but she will.
Yeah.
She will simply incline her head. Stop nuzzling my ring light. Stop it.
Before he dismisses you, he would look to Raul. There is value in that blade of yours, and my family would pay quite handsomely to have you on our payroll. My mentat will make you an offer as well.
He will nod respectively.
And then finally, he would like look towards the doctor and then back at Cassandra. You should not bring that to court ever again.
Yes. Thank you, my liege.
You are dismissed. I expect my tithes in a moon's time.
She will bow very formally. Of course. And then she will turn and lead her people back out.
Which her people do after bowing very quickly. With haste.
All right. So we have everybody back. Do you guys talk to each other before you leave the estate? Or are you just like quickly getting on the ornithopter and getting the fuck out of there?
Get in the
Okay,
car.
yeah.
Get in the car.
The doctor is quickly trying to like hold down any puke that might be rising up. So he's trying to hold his shit together as he's getting back to the helicopter.
Doctor, it is a thing where it is the Lady Leandra who would offer that that cool hand of reassurance to help steady your steps as you're going, and even going so far as to offer you um, a kerchief with the house sigil embroidered on the side, something that that she embroidered herself, very likely, as part of her noble needlework, to just sort of wipe the sweat off of your brow and keep that together. It is they are very subtle gestures that again, somebody who is a master of the that conditioning can do without getting noticed, but nonetheless, it is very much a sort of return on the comfort that you had offered her when she was in similar states.
The tables have turned. And I'm just gonna kind of look at her with this kind of wall-eyed, desperate look, and slightly grin before wiping his brow and just getting into the vehicle quietly.
As soon as we hit airspace, I will immediately contact Samuel and tell him he is cleared to go.
Cool.
That we are out of the building and he is cleared to go.
Yeah. Once we're in the air as well, Cassandra will finally pull out like a handkerchief or a cloth or something and clean the blood off her face.
Raul will offer to get rid of the collar that was never noted that it had not been removed from her mother yet once we get on the doctor, and then offer her communication bead so that she can get back in the swing of things now that she's lucid and among us.
She would nod gratefully, and it is there is a complicated mechanism in the back that again does require at least one, if not two, of you to sort of figure out the mechanics of getting it undone, because it's just very intricate and clearly made to be something
he'll break it. He doesn't care if it's intricate. He just it is clearly a sign of oppression on her that is designed to make her subservient. He's not going to take the time to be like, I'm going to do he breaks it and get it off her more readily, and then hands her a bead so that she can be back in communication.
Thank you, Raul. I know I've not been myself. Cassandra, my love. I have never been more proud of you. You comported yourself beautifully in what was quite possibly one of the greatest tests for you, but it has to have been hard for you all this time. I imagine that you are not unused to standing on your own at this point. And for what it is worth, I am sorry. I was so lost in the loss of my son that I did not realize that I almost lost my daughter.
It's all right. What matters is there's a new path ahead. At the very least. One that will be no less difficult to navigate than the one behind, but I have not had to stand entirely on my own. And she'll look at the others. She'll look at the doctor and Raul. And Zev's not there, but she will. Zev's also,
Yeah, just the bead.
Yeah.
There's actually there's a calculator on the wall that we can
Yeah!
look at.
Oh, thanks.
It's a graphing calculator.
Yeah, the
It's
expensive
far
one.
too advanced for Dune.
25,000-year-old TI-83 on the wall.
Right. Anyway, and she will say, I have had allies that have helped me. That have helped me weather the storm. As fraught as it has been, I am simply glad that we were able to get you back. I wouldn't abandon you.
My dearest, I would not have blamed you if you had. It is interesting that I was kept in a way as an honored guest, in as much as that creature can presume something of honor. But it meant that I sat at his right hand and bore witness to everything that he was capable of. It was clear that it was a message very much of, while I am not doing this to you, it is not outside the bounds of what I can do. But in witnessing that darkness, it allowed me to pull myself out of my own. And I realized that more than anything, I needed to get back to you. I needed to be what I couldn't be for your brother. I realized that I had let my ambitions and desires as a woman of the Bene Gesserit take my path with him, that I neglected my role as a woman who is also a mother. And so I swear to you, I will not do that again. I know you don't have reason to believe me, but on all of the honor that I have remaining, it is so.
Whether or not I have reason, I choose to. Welcome back.
It is good to be back. But you, Doctor, a kind soul, you have cared for me when I was at my weakest. What has happened to you that you are in this state right now? And again, she would sort of reach out with that cloth again to sort of dab at his brow, to just make sure that there is, just adding that little extra bit of comfort for him.
I'm here as a formality. I wanted to make sure that they're hydrating you. Do you look so hydrated? I don't think I'm fit to take care of you anymore.
Doctor, whether or not you are fit or not is not for you to decide. It is for my daughter. But I believe we are of the same mind that you have done much to care for us in this long career of yours. Taking some time to care for yourself is also important and necessary.
I didn't understand what you were going through when you were covered in sweats and had a kind of a dry feeling in your mouth. I know what it's like now. And I used to think that it was just addiction. But now I know it's so much more. And I used to think you talked in riddles, and I just humored you, and you're funny. And you're very sweet. And because I never had a mom, so it was nice.
With that, she would just basically pull him to her and make it so his head is resting on her lap. It's okay.
Aw.
Yeah, I'll just kind of like crawl in a bit of a half fetal position, just kind of automatically and comfortably.
The future is constantly in motion, and the spice gives glimpses. They are tantalizing, and the paths they lead can be addictive in the possibilities that are presented. But that is what they are, Doctor. Possibilities. And if you lose yourself in possibilities, then you will never see the path that is in front of you. You will never lead the life that you are meant to lead, because you are looking too far ahead into the future to enjoy the present.
Yes, but what if I make the wrong choice?
That's what life
know.
is, my dear. We make wrong choices all the time, but it is in our failures that we learn, that we grow, that we come to understand what is important and just how fleeting everything can be. It is what makes you realize what is precious to you. These connections around you, Doctor, these are people who love you, who value you as who and what you are. They care for you, just as I do. You cannot fail them as long as you are doing everything you can and living, making the decisions that you can with the information that you have. As long as you are doing your...
What of the Lady Cassandra? I see all these paths, both prior and before, and I want to advise. I am not a great doctor, but I can perhaps use my state to help others. And I see the forks in the road for myself are irrelevant. I am a hermit, or I am a madman, or I am a destroyer of Dr. Kynes. But it's your daughter who has two very clear paths, and I am afraid to advise her. Because there is one
Shoot.
that provides horror, and there is another that provides glory. And it's hard to determine which is which.
She would look to Cassandra. Two paths. Do you wish to speak of them?
I may as well. She will take a breath. It has been made clear to me that there is a greater future for me in the Bene Gesserit sisterhood, should I desire to seize it. But to do so, I would have to relinquish my blood, my house, all of it. Should I choose the house, then that pathway is closed to me. This is as the Reverend Mother has laid it out before me.
I was born into the sisterhood, and your father took me as concubine before he chose to marry me. And I do not necessarily have the background of the noble accoutrements that you were raised with as the scion of a house, especially after but for me there was no choice. The path of the sisterhood was the only door that was open before me. I went where they told. I did as I was commanded to. I followed the path laid out before me and bore children that I knew would be strong and powerful, each in their own right. But with that strength and that power, Cassandra, you are given the opportunity to have the freedom to determine the course of your own destiny. Within your heart, within everything that you already know what your choice is going to be, because there is a part of you that has made it already. You just have to open yourself to the honest reality of it.
You are correct, of course. I have made that choice. I think perhaps that I made that choice the moment the choice was offered. But I need to gather my thoughts.
Of course.
Just remember, my dearest daughter, my shining star, I am so very proud of you. And with that, we are going to take a brief break so we can get into the next stage of our game. We are going to throw up a poll. So basically, once again, in Dune, you gain advancement points, which are experience points, and AP can be rewarded for a variety of things, including awesome roleplay. So this is your opportunity as the audience to have interaction here with basically getting into getting involved into which role player you have thought was super awesome right now. So please give us a vote. And yeah, we'll be back in 10 minutes. So let's go out with the flow. Yeah.
Arrakis. Dune. A planet that is both a volatile desert wasteland and the most precious jewel in the universe. For it is only on Arrakis where the spice melange can be found. The spice has shaped humanity for a millennia, and it is the foundation that makes interstellar travel possible. Fortunes rise and fall as quickly as the sands shift on Arrakis. It is a place where a smile and a quiet word can cut as easily as a crisp knife. And nothing is what it seems. Welcome to Dune. Arrakis. Dune. A planet that is both a volatile desert wasteland and the most precious jewel in the universe. For it is only on Arrakis where the spice melange can be found. The spice has shaped humanity for a millennia, and it is the foundation that makes interstellar travel possible. Fortunes rise and fall as quickly as the sands shift on Arrakis. It is a place where a smile and a quiet word can cut as easily as a crisp knife, and nothing is what it seems. Welcome to Dune.
Alright. Okay, everyone. Welcome back to Dune Blades of the Hidden. We are playing the Adventures in the Imperium book by Modiphius Entertainment. This is a super awesome 2D20 system. Do please check it out. The book is incredible. Like, we were goobing about it at the top of the episode. There's so much gorgeous art. There's so much gorgeous design. And again, a lot of love has went into this book and crafting, just making all of the lore across 15 books into something easily digestible for anyone from, the lowliest native of Arakin to the Liette of the Grandest Siege. Anyways, we are going to set the scene where basically after meeting with Vahn, the family has had a very cathartic reunion with the matriarch, Cassandra Lucinor, who has managed to pull herself out of the very dark space that she had been in. Okay, cool. To become herself again after having like moments with the PCs. All of you make it to your house in Arkeen safely, and once there, I imagine that you let the Lady Cassandra and Leandra retire to their rooms to, get freshened up and, again, catch up more in private, which leaves Raul and Zev and the doctor to determine what they are going to do while this is happening.
Zev at this point probably met up with Theron and whoever was on the ground, leading in Raul and Cassandra's absence. And having gone back to the house at this point, I'm probably just in what amounts to my office on the main grounds.
Yes.
Okay.
What does the office look like?
Very
when compared
large.
to the office on the ship.
About the same, actually.
Okay.
Disheveled. There's a place for everything and everything in a place, but it only makes sense to Zev. And it's pretty simple. There's not much decoration. There's no pictures, but there are some large windows because that's always something that Zev tends to want wherever they are working. But yeah, that's it. That's about what it looks like.
Cool. So Raul probably knocks on the door. Duk, duk, duk.
Come in.
He'll put his head in and be like, I'm going to clean up if you want to debrief, because this is not the look I want to go for all day.
Fair enough. And Zev gets up and just follows.
Raul doesn't go and use water. He goes and uses the scrubbers like the ground troops would use. It's very much that, like, still a man, still connecting with his, average, everyday, run-of-the-mill soldier type situation. So he basically has the place put out, sweeps it real quick, and then, like, strips down so he can wash up, which is an incredibly, like, interpersonal thing, because this is the most vulnerable he can be physically. And having Zeb there to talk with him is clearly a sign of, like, let's fucking talk, because I'm tired. This was the hard part type situation. For, like, a physical description, because we've always kind of put Raul out there as a dude, Raul has that probably very functional Claudio Castagnoli / Cesaro, for all our wrestling fans out there, I'm going to work that in real quick, type body build. He's got that all functional muscle from doing work. He doesn't have show muscle. He's not big and bulky. He's very lean, and he probably has a fairly decent collection of scars periodically throughout his body, from having to fight his way up from a ground soldier to where he is now. And he kind of just steps in and goes, just looks at them and goes, so how are you after all this?
Well, I almost got everybody killed. That was not my best moment, but
you didn't, and we're here.
But I didn't.
You missed a wonderful meeting with the Beast. They plan on contacting you to work out the Shom shares that they're going to want, which will be astronomical, which will be the opening salvo of the thing that was discussed, where if we break away, that will be the time. They're also looking to hire me and put me on their payroll, which I am not interested in the least.
I'm glad to hear that. I wouldn't have thought you would be.
Yeah. That I would be interested or wouldn't be interested?
I didn't think you would be interested.
No. I would like to stay as far away from them as I can. So the question is, what...
That I share.
Well, Samuel will not be back for another few days, but if you want to stall till then, that will help. He's on his way to speak to the Atreides.
I know.
I figured you did.
We should talk soon, but before then...
We can talk now.
We can.
No better time than now.
No, I need to talk to the lady first. But you will be my next
Be
host.
aware. That's fine. Be aware she is going to make a choice between the house's future and her future inside the Bene Gesserit. But the good news is her mother has returned to her senses.
That is good news. I have not seen the Lady Leandra in a while.
And more than likely has no desire to stay within the service of the Harkonnen.
And then there's Cassandra's father.
Yes.
All right.
There are options to be taken.
Just make sure she's protected.
Cassandra?
I do not trust him. I'm sorry, the lady, Cassandra. I do not trust...
Either Cassandra...
I do not trust Lord Lucinor. I never have. I did
Lord
not come
Lucinor
here to work for him.
Fair. Lord Lucinor will not move against the Bene Gesserit, so if Cassandra takes that road, then she will be safe. If she does not, then she should lay claim to the house at this point in time. Because, let's be clear,
agree.
She just made that notion. If she does not and chooses to go with the Bene Gesserit, that is a different situation. I advise we talk to Theron about one last job that she will need, because unfortunately Theron will become endangered if Cassandra leaves for the Bene Gesserit. It was her protections that were granted. If she leaves her power and authority of her house behind, she will no longer be able to protect Theron.
I'll see to it.
Well, it was more an idea of if the master of the house is no longer who they appear to be and becomes a recluse, that should cover most things. It seems that he was without a mother and has adopted the lady of the house as such. This allows him to stay close to her, this allows Theron's safety, and this allows the house to function outside the Harkonnens. But we will have until your negotiations with the other Mentat are done, for lack of a better term. Because either that Mentat will walk away and know we are in open conflict with them, very alone. Not completely alone, but more alone than we should be, if you cannot stall until the word from the Atreides arrives.
And I suppose it's time I had a talk with Lady Cassandra.
Have fun.
All right. I guess before we get to that though, we're gonna have Theron would pay a visit to our dear doctor. And basically, where is the doctor at right now?
Well, the doctor is back in the chapel. he's cleaned himself up, dusted himself off, and has done a ritual or two. Maybe even spoke to some of the random individuals that might stop in to pray and, orate this and that to kind of at least get some stress out of him.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time she gets there, he's sitting kind of at a desk next to the altar, writing in one of his books.
Can you make me let's say discipline and we'll do faith, because I will let you remove that condition. It'll be a difficulty 0 because you can also gain back some momentum with it. There we go.
Ah, that's better.
Yeah. You gain back a memento. Awesome. So yeah, you can remove the fevered condition as, again, you take that time to sort of center yourself and cleanse your thoughts of the horrors that you saw, just sort of realizing and coming to terms that having that profound experience of like, oh, this is what happens when I go too far, like pushing too fast, when I don't quite, when I am, you get that feeling of being that child that is still learning to swim and you went too far into the deep end. So also take an advancement point, because this is a moment where you have learned from that failure, since it was a real bad failure. So yeah, I imagine Theron would kind of just sort of stand, like leaning slightly against a pillar, as they watch the doctor perform some of these rituals, and just sort of quietly observing, with that small sort of shy smile on their face, as if this is one of the rare pleasures that they do allow themselves, just the quiet observation of someone they care about. And they don't say anything, they're unobtrusive, and when it is clear that he's finished and is writing in that book, then they would very gently sort of knock on the pillar to draw attention to themselves and, sort of almost again, like bashfully, like approach, just, you seem in a better state, my love.
Well, I am now. Now that you
I
walked
was
in.
worried about. Oh. What? And they would get closer and sort of put their long, slender fingers on top of his, just sort of, again, finding that comfort in the hands that sort of helped bring them from this, help them find themselves in that way. I was worried about you when you were under the trance. It was so long, and there were tears streaming down your face for what seemed like hours. What did you see?
Well, the good thing is, the silver lining of these horrible visions is that I often see you. That is one constant. I don't have a path, but you're the thread that allows me to understand which is the best way to go forward. I keep seeing the same theme, and part of me wishes that maybe we did leave together, because it's going to get worse. I can't stop it. So long as you're on my side, and maybe I can cope. I'm going down a path that I'm not, that won't be enjoyable for many, but I hope it's at least fulfilling for you. And I worry that I'm gonna be the death of you one day.
They would very sweetly just raise both of their hands to gently cup the face of the doctor side by side, as they gently move his head so that way he is looking directly into their eyes. And again, they are quite tall, so I imagine he's looking up a little bit, but
yeah,
their face is just full of just pure serenity and just the surest confidence and love. And they look at him and again just sort of very lightly hold his head and say, "My love, I had not known what it was to be alive until I did. You saved me. So every moment that I have had since then has been because of what path you have chosen. I wish that I could give you the faith that I have in you to make
the right course, because I know that whatever decisions you choose to do, that you will do so from a place of kindness, from a place of love, from a desire to do what you can to save those around you. If I am to die, as we all must eventually, please know that I would not have lived if you didn't put me on this path. Everything has been worth it, and I trust you going forward to keep it.
You trust me.
Yes, with everything that I have.
I don't see you as an apostle. I see you as an equal. And I think that there's going to be a better life once we get back down to Arrakis. We need to go down there.
You are on Arrakis.
Excuse me, I'm it must be all that spice that I just have taken. I mean away from this house. I mean away from all of them. That's the path I mean. We need to leave. And I think that I think we might have a friend in someone that was just recently on our ship. And I think that he can help us live. I mean, truly live.
My love. And they would very lightly kiss your lips. And just like hold you there as they look even more intently into your eyes. Where you lead, I will follow. The path I have chosen is anyone where I can walk by your side. And I would not have it any other way.
The doctor's gonna pull open a drawer at the desk next to them and pull out a small, square little box and put it in their hand.
What is this?
Let's be the official companions, the Lord and his companion. They can't take you away if that's the case. And when things get really bad, we can at least grab each other's hands and push through it together. Because there is a lot of... This city is not going to last. And I have a feeling that you run much faster than me, so if I am allowed to hold your hand while you run, then we can run together.
I won't leave you behind. And they would hang on tightly to the box and give them a stronger kiss.
And he returns it.
And yeah, I think with that, we will pull out to as I still have feelings to the lady Cassandra. As we're gonna cue Zev coming into that scene. Allie, where can Zev find Cassandra, and what does she look like?
Oh, well, isn't that a great question? All right. I guess it's time for the camera to come on. Okay. Well, Cassandra is probably somewhere in the estate making... I mean, at this point, I imagine she's already spoken to the Reverend Mother. That's one of, aside from cleaning up, that was one of her priorities. And she'd probably be, I'm trying to decide. She's not in her chambers. She's probably somewhere making some kind of like preparations for whatever is to come, given that the house has a lot of stuff to handle at this point. A lot of paperwork. But she has completely changed out of the sort of combat suit that she wore, and instead of her usual hooded dress, which typically was in the Lucinor colors at least, she is now wearing a more almost more militaristic kind of jacket, like a long jacket, pants, boots, the whole like the kind of like militaristic noble outfit, in black, edged with the Lucinor purple. Very much the kind of attire the heir of a house would wear. Definitely not the kind of thing a Bene Gesserit would wear.
Well, regardless of wherever you might be, Zev would eventually find you.
Yeah. Yeah, she is probably moving about. There is no rest. She is only moving. But probably in one of like the larger halls as she's making some kind of preparations. Zev.
My lady.
It's good to see you.
Also notice that as they saw you, Zev can't help but smile a little. It's good to see you too, and I am incredibly sorry about the Hunter Seekers. It didn't even occur to me, and I don't know why.
It was tragic what happened, especially the loss of Tharja, but it was something that couldn't be helped, I fear. It certainly, we cannot change what happened. And you have steered me right far too many times in the past for me to hold that against you. We all make mistakes.
Well, I do hope that you will indulge that one more time. I need to speak with you, and it is urgent, and I need to speak with you in private.
Of course. Here, and she'll... Whatever people she has around her, she'll motion them off, and then have Zev follow her into a side room. And once she's certain they're alone, what's on your mind? What is it?
I have had this conversation in my head 1,000 times, and I still don't know how to start it. Before I say anything else, I would like you to know that nothing I have ever done has been to injure this house. But I came here for a reason. I was not born under Harkonnen rule, and I was not born to the Mentat school. I went there as a child voluntarily. And everything I have done since the moment I left has been to find a way to harm the Harkonnen. To that end, there is so much apprehension on Zev's face throughout this entire thing because this has been a long time coming.
Speak.
My lady, I am loyal to you, but it was not my first loyalty. I come from the planet Vetifor, which Cassandra would know was an Atreides colony. The Harkonnen raided us when I was very young, and I was lucky enough to be taken in by the lord of the settlement. Eventually, I went to the Mentat school to do whatever I could to make good on what they did for me. I have been an agent of the Atreides and the Valenrand for my entire life. But I did not come here, and I have never done anything to harm House Lucinor, only to harm the Harkonnen. And in this case, that meant helping the Lucinor grow. But I have still been in contact with the Atreides. They know what has transpired here. And they are willing to help if you would accept it.
The rivalry between the Harkonnen and the Atreides is not something that is secret. Certainly, not in the Landsrat, at any rate. But that sort of decision, as much as my father left me in charge for this particular endeavor, at least with the negotiations, which sort of ran wild, didn't it?
Indeed.
That is not a decision that I can make on my own. And I am not certain what kind of answer my father would give to that.
The people of this house do not serve your father. They serve you. All of us serve you. And if you want to go to war with the Harkonnen, they will follow. And there are already things in motion to remove the Harkonnen from Arrakis. There is a man on his way. I do not know when he's arriving. I have only been informed he's already in transit. His name is Duncan Idaho. He will be here, I would imagine, fairly soon, given what's happened.
I see.
They're waiting for me to contact them again after I speak to you. If you do not have me thrown in prison. Which is a fate I'm willing to accept, if necessary.
What you propose, Zev, is an act against the duly appointed territorial governor of Arrakis, as chosen by the Emperor himself.
That
You
is
do
true.
understand this?
I do. However, I have already provided information to Dr. Kynes and to the Emperor himself about the Harkonnen skimming spice profits. As I said, steps are already being taken. I regret that I did not tell you this before, but this has been in motion for a very long time.
She'll think back for the moments to her conversation with the doctor when he was still in the cell. The vision he spoke of, the clashing of the hawk and the griffin. You're not going to see the inside of a cell, Zev. I wouldn't do that.
You would genuinely see Zev, relax, because that was a possibility that they had entertained. Or worse.
As I said, you have not steered me wrong. You have made mistakes, but that is something that we all do. But I trust you. I always have. And in truth,
Thank you.
the horrors that the Harkonnens have done to the people of this planet, they are... Having seen them firsthand, having stood and stared at that psychotic beast in the eyes, well, talk to your people.
And
I think
Zev
we
would
can-
bow.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Sorry.
Talk to your people. I think the choice is clear.
Thank you. And then Zev would bow and back out of the room. And go find wherever Raul was at this point. And have this same conversation all over again.
Well, before he can have that conversation with Raul, it is Lord Dimitri, who finds our swordsman. So where is Raul right now?
Probably eating. Like, he's cleaned up, done all this stuff. He's probably finally putting food in his stomach.
So then in that case, it would be a thing where, Dimitri would, stand in the doorway a moment, clearly recognizing this, the situation where this is a soldier who is just, wants to have a fucking meal. But also, you know, by the same token, there is obviously something on his mind. So he would pause a moment and then just sort of look at Raul with, "Do you mind if I join you?"
I do not. Get a tray. Note that Raul is literally eating basic whatever. He's eating everyman food. So
Mhm.
if Dimitri gets it, what Dimitri puts on his tray is important to the conversation.
Yeah.
If he's like, I get all the expensive stuff, he's like, okay. But if he's like, I get everyman common soldier food and sit down to have an everyman common soldier meal, well, that says something different.
He would do the basic thing of you know, taking the everyman meal, because, you know, again, you get the feeling that I mean, but it's like it's not a full meal because it seems like he's already like had some food or something like already.
Sure.
But you know, like he has the equivalent of like the sea rations and, you know, whatever shitty beer that they give the soldiers.
Let's be clear. It's not rations. We're on the planet. Like it's mess hall
Okay,
food,
fair.
not rations.
Fair. You know, it's like the brown lumpy stuff that
Yeah.
like we just don't ask questions about, but it has protein in it.
It's a brown lump with a side of sweet lump. It's the lump. Like
Yeah,
lump
exactly.
is delicious. Everybody loves lump.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go. All right. We have our meal now. So yeah. So now, is this a crowded mess hall, or is it just like, you know, is it off hours enough where it's just like mostly the two of them, or like the two of them and a couple scattered people?
I assume it's mid between because everybody else who's come back that's done soldiering probably got there a little bit before, but there's probably, you know, a dozen or so people there also doing mess food stuff, I would think.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so basically he gets his tray and, you know, seems kind of bemused by the expectation and sits down. He is dressed in more practical combat gear, you know. Again, it kind of seems like he was off-world less because he wanted to and more because Rand told him to. Is the impression that you get knowing the personalities of the people involved. But you know, he kind of just waits for you to have like a decent amount of food in you while he, you know, catches up and everything, before he finally says,
You gonna eat that?
So if you
He makes note of wanting to eat his cornbread. Like the cornbread that comes with the lump, he's like, "You gonna eat that?" And if he says no, he just takes it off his tray. It's a very subtle show of like, how are we having this exchange?
So as Raul grabs it, like there is a fork that comes down and cleaves it in half.
Okay, you want some of the cornbread? All right, sounds good. All right.
But he's just like, you know, so he's like munching on the cornbread now, because clearly, if he doesn't eat it, he loses it.
Yeah.
So, have you given any thought to your future beyond this point?
I mean, literally, the beast informed me of what my future prospect was probably going to be, and that's going to get very complicated very quickly.
It doesn't have to be.
All right.
So, you were to be my concubine, for instance, he would have no legal recourse to remove you in any way. because your place would be by my side.
Damn, Dimitri.
Interesting.
I mean, I have a duty to my house as much as anyone else does. I know I have to provide an heir at some point, but I do prefer men. And specifically, men of honor and integrity and valor, which you have shown in such great spades. And I would like to think that in time, perhaps you would see me in the same way, but at least for now, it is another path for you to avoid a worse one.
That is fair. What would this obligation entail?
I don't want you to enter. It would be a partnership. I wouldn't want you to enter into anything that you are unwilling to be in. I may have been bound to Edie Prime, but I guess I'm a bit of a misfit. Their ways do not appeal to me in the way that I was expected to. I want someone by my side that I can trust as a companion, as a partner, and in a concubine that I choose for myself, someone that I don't have to wear a fucking mask for.
That is fair. I will give it thought, and I do not mean that as a platitude. But I'm not very... I am not one for sexual congress.
If I want sex, I'm nobly born. It's easy to come by.
I'm making
The things
you
that
aware.
I have mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
the things that I have mentioned are far more rare and elusive.
That is fair to hear. I'm making you aware you made me an offer I did not want to give you response in false pretense.
And again, this is what I respect about you. You actually are unafraid to tell the truth as it is versus the truth you think I want to hear.
Telling you the truth you want to hear in this moment benefits neither of us. I have been around enough nobles to know when to, what's the right term? Pad the honesty. And when to be forthright.
God. You'd think that more of my kind would develop thicker skins for how easily they are bruised.
When you do not face adversity, you have no reason to toughen up.
And that is also a perspective I want.
Too often, when we enmesh ourselves within the politics of the Landsrod, it is easy to lose that perspective, as it is all you know, it is all you see in the day in and day out, and it warps your thinking. I don't want to become that person.
That is good to hear. Is there anything else you would like to speak on?
Are you gonna eat that? And he points to a particularly interesting looking lump in the lumps.
Yes. I'm coming down off of battle stems. I need all the protein I can get.
Fair enough. And he would offer him some of his plate.
He'll take it.
Yeah. All right. So, at this point, you know, we can fade from that, and Zev and Raul can have that conversation. Did you want to role play that out, or you find
How about like jumping? Yeah, like
Yes.
how about we hand wave
Okay.
just me repeating the conversation with Cassandra?
Correct. Okay, cool. Fabulous.
And jumping to the
Point.
response.
Yeah, pretty much. Just Zev sitting in front of you with a very large cup of coffee, spiced coffee, at this point, and just it's probably the most tired you've ever seen Zev look, which is saying something. But
You see, like, when you're going through the course of the conversation, Raul has a mixture of, like, faces, and he doesn't ever get as mad as he did when the doctor went off script. Like, he doesn't, like, suddenly flip out or get angry. He kind of goes through the, like, oh, and then kind of goes, that explains that. That explains that. That explains that. I do owe you one, and he will punch it like once.
fair.
Not like jaw jack him, like just a punch to the gut. Like it's a very like he'll punch them in the gut. It'll be very much like thump, like very just like.
Welcome, Raiders.
Oh,
Oh wow!
Hello.
Welcome.
Yeah. For the Raiders that are joining us now, our dear Mentat Zev has revealed themselves to have been an agent for House Atreides. And they are going into details and having a catharsis with the Swordmaster Raul, as the house decides whether or not to remain under the yoke of the Harkonnen or not. Continue.
But after the punch, Raul is very jovial with Zeb again, and goes, at least we're on the same page. I doubt Cassandra, or even her father, remember who some of us are. Lucinor has always been a very generous house and has taken in others.
that is
And
true.
some of us can trace our lineages back to those they've taken in. Those that were also wronged by the Harkonnen. So I can understand the loyalty to the house, but not being loyal to the Harkonnen.
Long time coming. The first time I saw a scene like the streets outside, I was 4 years old. And those bastards took everything from me.
Darkon have been at this a very, very long time. My father's 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 father was taken in by the Lucinor. After a very minor house whose name has mostly been forgotten to time, that will not do us any good to reminisce about now, was placed in an unwinnable position by the Harkonnen. And we don't forget, and we do not forgive.
Zev just reaches a hand out. I am sorry for every time I had to lie.
He'll shake it in that warrior's bond grasp, like, I understand. That's why I only punched you once.
Thank you for that. And for allowing me to put my coffee down before you did.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been the doctor in the Beast's throne room trying to get us all killed. I did leave out that part of the story earlier.
I was listening and it's fine.
It must have been the spice haze, but he felt the need that speaking would have been a great idea in that moment. And I don't understand it. I don't think I ever will.
I do a little more now. I've done a lot of reading about some of the things he said. But the future is uncertain, is a very kind way of putting it. But yeah, we have a lot to do.
In motion. Yeah. When do we not?
And with that,
we are the doers. Oh.
No, it's fine.
I was gonna say, we are the doers. They are the feelers. So.
With that, I'm going to say across everyone's microbeads, you get an announcement that the Lord of the House will be landing shortly, and demands the attention of the inner circle at his within his study once he has arrived.
And then there's that to deal with.
There is. I will go see the lady of the house beforehand. Very briefly.
I think the doctor will also make a beeline to Lady Cassandra's quarters before as well.
I'm not going to see Lady Cassandra.
I didn't think he was. He said the lady of the house. He's going to see Leandra.
All right. Well, two different places.
I will let you have your scene with Cassandra first, though, because I'm not doing NPC.
Let's have Doctor and Cassandra. So where is Cassandra right now? In her quarters, or?
She I think she would return to her quarters, but of course, as she gets the message, she is now exiting her quarters to make her way to where her father has called them. And
it'd probably be one of those. It'd probably be one of those awkward moments where like the door slides open, and as you're walking out, and the doctor's about to ring a doorbell or knock.
Yeah, exactly. She'll stop and she'll be like, doctor.
Wow. Black looks great on you.
Thank you. I've always enjoyed the house's colors. I have always tried to work it into my wardrobe, but and her outfit does have quite a bit of purple on it as well. But she say, we should be going, should we not? What can I do for you?
Well, I just wanted to quickly have a word with you. I'm sorry for misspeaking over there. I get excitable sometimes. I feel like I almost ruined everything. But I'm glad that I didn't, and you were impressive.
Well, thank you. I understand that you were in a state. I think all of us were a bit overcome in that place. But I don't hold it against you.
Whether you do or didn't or don't is immaterial. I just felt I'm trying real hard, and it was a very important moment. So thank that impressive display that you put on, and thank God Raul was there to stop me from fucking it up. More importantly, I kind of came to a realization while we were there. It's part of the reason why I got so excited.
Of course.
Do you remember when I was in the airlock and then later in the cell, and we had a brief conversation about
I do.
my vision?
Yes, that was interesting. Are you all right?
I'm fine. I've never been better, actually. I'm actually really happy. Gonna be married soon.
Married? To
Yes.
to
Theron is
Theron?
making an honest man out of me. That's right.
I suppose it's a surprise, but I'm happy for you. I mean,
As am I, but
would that any of us were so certain after only knowing someone for such a short amount of time, but truthfully, I've seen how they look at you. I can't say that it doesn't seem like a good match.
yes, well, I've known them for an eternity. So it was always supposed to be this way. That's not why I'm.
Of course.
That's not why I want to talk to you. It's as exciting as it is. I need to warn you about something that I guess now is, I don't know, irrelevant, or maybe it's more relevant than ever. Perhaps any Jesuit that has this kind of information, it might help. I don't know. But I realized that my vision was clearly about the Harkonnen. And, well, you know, the rumors that we are hearing about a possible challenge, a fight between two families. Fight between two major houses that has been almost a Cold War for quite some time.
With a few flarings of heat, yes. But
How could you not? They're awful. Harkonnen, they're
aren't they?
awful.
even
poor man.
beyond the things that the houses of the Landsrat typically have to do to keep themselves in their places of power, They are a step above, are they not?
Yes, they are. Well above me, and my station anyway. But the coming war is going to be a very bright fire in the sky. But that's not actually what may destroy us all. The fear that we all should have is whatever war is coming involving the Harkonnen. I'm not exactly clear what that is exactly, but who the major players are, I don't know. I'm just a doctor. But I am a doctor with a vision. I'm a doctor who now understands that it's just as petty as any other Conley, because there is something far more frightening coming. And that is a boy. A deliverer. It's like I think it's like a mouse or a worm. I don't know. It's like a mouse. It's like a mouse and a worm boy. That only delivers two things. There's only two outcomes. The forks in the road are very clear. The light step and the heavy crawl leads to both death and despair. It's like two paths that kind of crisscross each other.
What do you know of this boy?
I thought he was me for a second. I thought he was me, but I think I'm... God, I hope I'm wrong. It's not me. Just disappointing. But I do know that he has immense power that he doesn't quite know yet. And he's the weaver of all things, all paths. You know, he sews them together with every mousy step in the sand. But he doesn't know that yet either. He's probably... there's a reason why I'm even talking to you. I'm no longer going to be afraid of what choice to make. I'm just going to make the choice, and I'm just going to tell you. This boy promises a freedom for very special people who has become very close to my heart, even though I know very little about them. But his promises are wrong, and I don't think he knows that either. This boy is not a savior. And the god that he'll grow up to be... No.
I see.
No. Excuse me. That's what I wanted to warn us about.
I appreciate you coming to me with this. Who else have you told?
You. I'm afraid to even write it in the book. I feel like if I've read it in the book, it makes it true, and maybe this is yet another fork that perhaps there's another path. Maybe we can find the boy. Maybe we can kill him. Do you think that's a possibility, that we could kill the boy? Or no, I can't do that. My Suk training. But maybe you can. I was thinking that maybe Dr. Kynes could help me with this, but the only path that I can see is that I would end up having to kill him too, and I don't think I could do that either.
Yes, it might be best to keep this to ourselves for the time being.
Yes, I'm getting excitable. You're right. You're right.
This kind of information, true or not, can be dangerous. You're a good man, Doctor. I would not want to see you get hurt.
Thank you for your kind words. I also have to tell you something else. I guess it is also just as irrelevant because it's just as inevitable. I'm leaving with Theron. I feel the same way as Zev and Raul. I love you as a queen. But now that I know, and there's no reason for me to stay, and actually, I was kind of hoping that this would be the result because, I need to go towards the desert.
Truthfully, I suppose I saw this coming. Though I don't suppose that I had thought it to be this soon. I made you a promise. When I opened my door to Theron, I told you, if and when the two of you decided to leave, that I would let you go. This is not a prison, and you are not slaves. I would hope you would remain longer. But I cannot begrudge you your desire to charter a new path.
Well, it's like they say in the Orange Book, the old one before I replace it. Man leaves the desert for a time, comes back to the people with a good word, and the good word is despair. So saith the Lord. I appreciate you allowing me this freedom. More importantly, I appreciate you keeping me around when I'm such a bother, especially to Raul.
I appreciate everything Raul does for this house. I do. But you have done much for this family, for myself and for my mother. I would not simply cast you aside. But, as it is said, I do not believe that you or Theron at this juncture would do anything to bring harm to this house.
No.
At this point, I'm not entirely sure what you could. This house is, well, all things considered, the danger to us is different. And perhaps far greater. Perhaps staying might be the wrong choice for the two of you.
If you decide to participate in the war between the Falcon and the Griffin, It's going to bury this house.
Are you suggesting we should stand aside?
I'm suggesting that so long as the pawns on the board are in play, when the board catches fire, they too will burn. That's not...
Or
You can do whatever you need to do and whatever's best for the house. I know that I'm leaving. I can't leave this planet, but I can't stay in the city either. And I can't go back to the ship. There's a people out there that are looking for me.
you go in search of the Fremen.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, I do.
Then I hope you have made the right choice.
Oh,
We
I won't
shouldn't
survive.
keep my father.
You're right. We shouldn't keep him waiting. Let's go.
She'll nod and start walking down the hall again.
And he follows.
All right. So let's cut to Raul. When you come upon Lady Leandra, she is finishing freshening up, basically. She has changed from the gown that she was made to wear by the Harkonnen to a variant of the house colors, in that it is a gown that is made of a pure lilac silk, as if, you know, while it is the colors, the purple of the house, she wants to get as far away from anything even tangentially related to the Harkonnen vestiges that she was forced to wear. Her dark hair is held back by an ivory veil that has just like loose pearls like interspaced between it, sort of vaguely shadowing her face in that very Bene Gesserit kind of way. And you know, she is finishing off by like dolloping a little bit of scent on her wrists and rubbing them together. When Raul enters, just very much the epitome of the lady of the house.
I am sorry to speak with you again so soon, milady. But what do you
Do
wish
not
done?
apologize.
What do you wish done if your husband cannot see reason?
My husband is a man of many things. And the Lannisrod has rules. But he is also an older man. Older men are prone to health problems. If our house doctor is choosing another path and happens to not be present when he takes ill, that is just unfortunate circumstance and tragedy.
Very. It is a tragedy. Very well, my lady. And he will wait to escort her to the meeting. because she has just returned from a hostage situation.
Yeah. She would, very gracefully and gratefully take his arm and, allow him to lead the way to the office. So the study of the Lord Jalal is very much a study that is a display of his personal wealth and power. While there are not many, the shelves do have some old paper books from Old Terra, and as well as, just a few plants, like, the equivalent of like the ficus that won't die, but on Arrakis, but like even though these are smaller plants and shrubs and stuff, that again, like each one of those plants probably takes the water that a regular Outer Keen citizen could, survive on for a few days, if not a week. But again, it is that point of sending that message of like, this is, the wealth of our house when he has these sorts of important meetings. The Lord himself is dressed very formally, as he has just come from one such meeting. And he wears a very fitted, almost military-esque tunic that is slashed with the violet of the house, in an almost, violent sort of display of the color versus something more feminine and pastel like the lady. He sort of stands with his back facing the door, gazing out a window to the courtyard of the grounds where some of the soldiers are returning to drills. And the lady of the house, like very gracefully again, removes her arm from Raul's and walks towards her husband to give him the very perfunctory, kiss on the cheek as she like stands by his side, and waits for the others to arrive. Feel free to describe yourselves as you're coming in, and what your character is wearing, if they have changed, or have any significant details from the last scenes.
Well, Cassandra,
Zeb's still in the. Yeah.
Oh.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so
like I was only going to say
Cassandra's
Zeb
still...
is wearing same stuff as normal.
Okay.
Yeah, Cassandra's got the new very like the noble, the noble attire, kind of that militaristic style to it, but certainly with a much gentler shade of purple. And certainly not slashed through in that kind of like almost very, very aggressive kind of manner. It's more accented at the edges.
Yes.
And she'll enter and she'll bow. Father?
Is the doctor present real fast?
Yes, the doctor is present, and he's actually wearing, a little bit more, it's like a formal doctor dress. He's got this kind of like lab coat kind of situation, and underneath it, really he's kind of dressing up for the affair a little bit, and very much wearing the accoutrements of a, house doctor proper.
So when Cassandra says father, he tenses and just like sort of looks to the side over his shoulder as if, looking down his nose at you before finally he shifts and turns to face you. So, you have managed to embroil us into one disaster after another. And then, on top of which, you, and he turns to his wife, before looking back at Cassandra, get her kidnapped and held hostage. And now we have lost even more with securing her retrieval. And I bet you look at this as a victory, don't you, replacement?
In fact, I do, Father. We have gained from what we have done. More than we would have lost.
You ally yourselves with traitors, weaklings, who are meant to be executed by our house and exposed for the filth that they are. Do you not understand the greater machinations at work within the Landesrat, you child?
And she'll start laughing.
With that, he raises his hand as if to attack her.
I look to the lady of the house.
I don't wait that long. I stand right in front of her.
You would stand against your liege?
She is behind me. You are in front of me.
What is this? You dare create a mutiny in my house? And he looks to Raul. Get the guards! Arrest this traitor!
And she'll smile. Raul?
I am loyal to the house, my lady. And I turn back to the lady of the house again. And my lady, not to a man. My oath has been crafted in such a manner. It is not my job to interfere in this particular domestic dispute.
How dare you, all of you! You would be nothing if I did not give you this opportunity, and you've wasted it! You are going to drag this house to ruin, and with that...
You will cease talking.
There is a
And
very gentle... Oh, okay.
Oh.
Ooh, excellent. Are you using it?
I'm using it.
Yes!
I step out of the way.
And, just like that, he's just, foaming at the mouth, furious, and then suddenly...
For once, you're going to listen to me. And she'll step up closer. For my entire life, you have treated me as if I was merely, well, the backup. And even after my brother's untimely passing, You have referred to me as replacement. You've treated me as if I am nothing. And in a matter of weeks, I have done more for this house than you have in the entire time that you've led it. She'll step back. I want you to understand something, Father. I am, perhaps, at least in part, what you have made of me. And your time here has come to a close. I will no longer allow you to treat me in the manner that you have. I have taken the life of one abuser today. Do not push me, or I will make it a second.
With that fury, he turns to look at his wife as if, like, demanding that, you know, she get on his side. And the Lady Leandra smiles quite serenely and walks towards her husband and says, my love, you've already given me everything I ever wanted. And she gives him a kiss, and he falls to the ground. My children. And she turns to look at Cassandra. Lady Lucinor. It is such a shame your father suffered this unfortunate heart attack. I look forward to seeing how well you lead our house. You have such a bright future ahead of you.
There's a brief moment of slight bewilderment, but obviously the pieces come together fairly quickly. And she simply, thank you for the vote of confidence, Mother.
You are my daughter. There are never any doubts when it comes to you. Shall we see what the future has in store for us?
Yes. Let's.
All right, guys. So we're gonna get a couple epilogue scenes here. The first being, Doctor. I imagine it's not too long after this when everything is settled up and, you know, the house is stabilized. You know, again, Cassandra has made great waves, so everybody is very much like, yeah, no, it was definitely just, he always had heart problems. It's just so weird.
And of course, I've confirmed a lot of them.
Yeah,
of course, I confirmed
exactly.
a lot of them through. Yeah, like, yep, it's definitely that.
We're very sad about this. And so when you go to the desert, how are you going about this? Are you just setting off? Are you contacting anybody? Are you following a vision? How do you do this? Oh, you're muted.
Before he starts.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not. I was going to say, before he even sets off, he has to take a shuttle to leave, and Raul will see him off when they go to leave.
Ooh, okay, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess I kind of pack my bags and you know
Mhm.
like Theron and I are clearly on our way,
Mhm.
about to leave.
Mm-hmm. And Raul will meet them at the gate, and first he'll approach Theron and offer a hand, and let them know it was a pleasure working with them, and if you need anything to look him up. And then he'll turn to the doctor and look at him and go, "The opposite of love is not anger, my friend. It's apathy. You take care of yourself. You'll always be welcome here as long as I'm out of this house." Pat him on the shoulder and walk off, unless the doctor stops him.
I do stop.
Mm-hmm.
You have kindness and compassion in you that you don't want people to know about, and your cooking still sucks.
Mm-hmm. My cooking is always going to suck. I don't get the luxury of kindness and compassion, unfortunately. Have enough for the both of us.
I'm sorry about your house. But I believe that we both were kind of adopted by House Lucinor.
Yes, that is one way of putting it.
I want you to do me a favor.
It's not drugs. Other than that, it's fine.
I have a little vial that I want you to take. Just kidding. Those days are behind me, Raul.
Mm-hmm.
Clean.
Does this smell like chloroform to you? No.
Mm-hmm.
When you see a warrior who is very small, a child, an important child, kill them and run. Or just keep defending the house as you've always done.
Gonna lean much harder into that second one.
I figured.
Mm-hmm. Take care.
Yes. I won't see you like this again, but I will be following your exploits in my visions.
Sure.
Oh, real quick. Can you tell Shanti that the code to the safe is 1138 and not to show you what's in that safe?
I'll get right on it.
Thank you. Sorry ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be mad.
Yep, I know.
You're a good friend. And he's gonna turn around and leave with Theron.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you get into the thopter to begin your journey out into the desert, you feel as you're piloting, like you've never been a very good pilot. It's but it feels very much like there's something guiding you. Like the controls feel natural in your hands, and it almost is as if the winds and are also aiding in getting you to where you need to go. Theron remains
just completely quiet by your side, just obviously content to just simply exist within your presence. But with something that you're not used to seeing in them, that has only really been something that has started to be seen from like the last couple days since the war, or sorry, since the Conley was called off. But just this idea, hope of just the idea of having a future and something that is just for you two, that like they are unbeholden to anyone else for. And when the ride begins to get turbulent, as the sands pick up, they take you, they put a hand on yours, and as it gets more turbulent and the Thopter struggles against this storm, you feel reassured that even though you're fighting for control with the Thopter, that you still know that you're going through to the right place, that this is yet another test of the desert itself. And if you can face it bravely with an open heart, then you will get to where you need to go. You feel the Thopter begin to lose altitude, but it is not a free fall so much as a glide. And you are able to gently guide it to a rocky location. You land safely enough, albeit, with a few bumps and bruises. And as you're getting out, you see, not too many miles off in the distance, the sands begin to tremor as you see ripples cascading towards your location even. As miles out, and you know from your studies that this is worm sign. And before you, you see a majestic worm rise and break the surface. Beautiful in its horrifying. Its gaping maw can easily swallow a city, and but you feel awe at the majesty of such a sight, and you know that when you began this journey, you were misguided in your desire to see and experience one of these creatures. With your enlightened state of being, you realize just how truly magical they are. You are so transfixed by this sight that you don't realize a group of warriors has been sitting behind you for some time, just watching you as you observe the worm. It is Theron who points them out, gently tugging at your sleeve. They look a little nervous, but they trust you.
He grabs their hand and rubs the top of their hand. It's like a calming gesture. And turns and looks at the warriors. And spits on the sand.
A surly looking man, whose face is mostly obscured by robes and veils, looks up at you, looks at the spit, and after what seems like an uncomfortable amount of time, pulls down his thing and does the same. Now, we will cut back to the
Also, the worm is thanks to our lovely retweet goal. So again, you guys, these are the moons gained from chat participation, as is this next one, which is that Raul gets a call that Samuel is going to be coming back, and in the company of the envoy from the Atreides. And they need to meet at a discreet location for obvious reasons. So if you can give me a decent move roll, we'll say it's a difficulty 2 because nobody's expecting anything, although you can reduce that difficulty if you want to reach out to your pirate friend.
I will not. I'm just going to burn some of this momentum at the end of the game that we're just sitting on.
Sweet.
To give the site location secure and give me an extra dice.
Cool.
So
Do that thing.
see if I can not make a fool of myself.
I believe in you. Yeah.
I believe in me too. Look at that.
Awesome. So you find a location that's basically like it once was some sort of abandoned archaeological site of some kind, like maybe some sort of surveying team that had tried to do something and just like ran out of money or whatever. The Thopter touches down, the shuttle touches down, and Samuel steps out, leading a tall man with, sort of that leathery skin of someone who's used to being outside and working with their hands, and has that lean, muscular body of a swordmaster, as well as like a couple of his own troops who are very discreetly wearing the sigils of House Atreides. Samuel walks forward to you and, gives you that traditional soldier's greeting, and then bows to the lady Cassandra. My lady, may I present to you Duncan Idaho of House Atreides.
It's good to meet you. Welcome. Welcome to Arrakeen.
It's a bit drier than I'm used to, but, well, I suppose that's sort of the point. We have
Not even noon
a
yet.
lot.
It's gonna get drier.
We got a lot of work to do. So I guess what I need from you is where to get started. And with that, we're going to end our game. So yeah, wow guys. Thank you all so very much. This was Dune, Adventures in the Imperium by Modiphius Entertainment. This is the book. It is amazing, and you can see all of my notes and things. It is a gorgeous book if you are a nerd like me and like physical books. And yeah, for those of you who are newer, who came in with that wonderful raid, thank you again for raiding us. That was awesome. All of our previous episodes are available on YouTube, and I do believe we have
I do believe we also have VODs that you can watch on Twitch too. So do please check that out, especially if you really liked where we got. The PCs have all had an incredible journey to get to this point. And yeah, it has been such an honor and such a privilege to run game for all of you guys. I just really can't stop fangirling about my cast. So at this point, I'm gonna let them, introduce themselves for our closing. And if you want to give a highlight of your favorite moment of the game, that would be awesome. So yeah, let's start with Paul.
Hi, everybody. I'm Paul Marchant. You can find me on Twitter at PaulMarchant6. I hear our raid was also by someone I've gotten to play with, so I'm going to shout out to April, who apparently helped lead this raid, because I got to play some Fallout with her a while back, and she's a great player. Let's see. Raul's journey was very secretive until like the last episode. Everybody thought he was just the most brutal killer, because, the best place to hide the fact that you're disloyal is by murdering people who are disloyal. Let's see. It was a good journey, good game. I got to be super pragmatic to a bunch of people who had lots of feelings about things. I also got to have the fun time of being very ace with a character, which I don't do very often, which was very good. Because everybody else was having some romantic interludes, and as a friend of mine once coined the phrase pee-pee hoo-ha drama, but it was great for everybody to watch it, and they had a blast doing it. And I'm very happy they got those stories. I will explain the origin of that later to Jace. They have this confused look on their face. But I'll be happy to explain the origin of that phrase. No, you're fine. You just looked at me cross-eyed, so I'll be like, I'll explain later. It was a great game. Jen runs a very solid narrative game that has a lot of great storytelling and twists and turns. I got to be very pragmatic, and everybody was really impressed with planning, and Jen was like, well, it's Paul. This is what he does. I didn't impress Jen at all. I might have impressed Jen at the very end there with the plan I threw at her.
Yeah.
That she did not think about, apparently. Yeah. So I'll take
that
credit for
really
that
good.
one. All right. There you go. All right. But that's all I've got. I'm going to pass the mic to Jace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm Jace Ridley. You can find me at Jace Ridley pretty much everywhere. It's impossible to pick one favorite moment from this because I've been planning how to run this character since I was told I was cast in this game. And getting to actually... my initial goal was maybe to just get away without being found out. And then suddenly there was this chance to actually take Lucinor rogue. And suddenly I wasn't just working from the sidelines anymore, so that was really exciting. Yeah, it was a fantastic experience. I had a blast for eight games, and I cannot wait for the possibility of more. I don't know. But yeah, I'll pass the mic at this point to Allie, I guess.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Allie. You can find me at Lexi Phoenix on Twitter. I have had quite the wild ride playing this. Going in, I mean, there's so much still that I had kind of wanted to explore that we just didn't have time for. And it's been so much fun, so much fun. Jen has run an amazing fucking game that has just
Oh God, you're gonna make
probably
me
been
cry
one
now.
of. I'm crying. I'm already crying. Damn it.
Oh God.
Oh.
Thanks. It's been an emotional experience for me. I'm the sort of person that, I mean, yes, I try to plan, I try to I think ahead and do that stuff, but I I get very swept up in my characters fairly easily, so I get very emotional, and this has been from start to finish quite the roller coaster of so many great moments between just character interactions, the loops that got the loops and curveballs that got thrown at us by the doctor. I honestly I can't imagine the game without them. I cannot imagine the game without all the wacky, like all the weird and wacky stuff that kind of came our way. Getting to pull in Theron and all that. And we each got kind of our moments to be pretty badass. And I feel like there's still a lot of potential because this feels like it's its own story. It's its own story, and it's got this definite ending, but at the same time, this has the very potential to be only the beginning. And I think that's part of what I love about it. So we'll see. I know that if we are able to, I'm 100% on board. No questions. So with that, I will pass it on because I am a mess right now. Jesus.
Oh. Well, I am Mark.
Yeah.
No, please, no. Keep you. I want to hear more. You have.
Well, like I said, I'm glad somebody got their romantic interlude. That's all I'll say. I'll leave it there.
Cassandra has options, okay?
Like 4.
Yeah, and more.
Yeah,
and
but
more
I knew the one she wanted.
Oh. Well, I'm Mark Q. Anderson of Mondo Cane Publishing. This is my very first game that I played with Weave the Tale, and this is my very first game that I've played with all of you. It's my first game that I played with Jen as GM. So there's a lot of firsts. First time playing Dune, and I didn't really know exactly what to expect walking into it, and I was impressed on all fronts. The players, the GM, the game, the network, the channel. Everything was very impressive. And honestly, when a game feels like you're only seeing part of it, that means that it's a very, very good game and a very, very complete game. When it feels like that you've done more episodes than just the 8, then we really kind of captured lightning in a bottle. I really enjoyed this. I like, obviously, kind of, I don't know, I hate to say it, but I kind of go a little rogue and I'm a little bit of a chaos goblin. But what was cool about this game is that it allowed me to explore some of the more like softer, more complex sides of the human condition, which is something I'm very much interested in. And I got to understand the most important parts of the human condition through all of the players here. You all showed things to me that were reflective of people in my lives for real, and I want to thank you all for that. Yeah, follow at Mondo Cane Pub on Twitter. Check out mondocanepublishing.com. There's some cool stuff coming. If you're going to PAX and if you see me walking through the hallways, like, tap me on the shoulder, say, hey, what's up? And let's like cheers a glass of coffee, tea, or God knows what else. And I am really excited about all the other things that Weave the Tale has coming up and going on right now. It's just an amazing channel, and all of you are amazing people. That's all I got to say.
Yay! Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay. So yeah, I guess it's my turn now. Hi, I'm Jen. I'm at SavageSparrow. I ran this game. This is my first time running Dune, obviously, because it just came out. Like I had such an amazing time. Like, again, with this story, I really wanted it to be entirely player driven as far as the narrative went. So I just very loosely set up like sequences I wanted to have, and really I did not have an ending designed because I just wanted to see where you guys would take it. And I was not at all disappointed. I really wanted you guys to feel like the choices and the things you did mattered. And I really loved everything that came out of it, from, again, Theron's arc to, Cassandra coming into her own with the voice, Raul finally telling the story of his origin, and Zev too with those origins, the doctor having heartbreaking moment after heartbreaking moment, just like experiencing all these different possibilities and being overwhelmed by them. It was so incredible, and all of you guys just really brought it so very hard, and I couldn't really ask for a better cast as a GM, because it was just such a joy, and all of you were always such an inspiration. I am also very sad that we didn't have more episodes, but I think we ran a really incredible game. If you like me, I am at SavageSparrow on the internet. SavageSparrow.com is my awesome website where I design nerdy t-shirts and apparel and accessories. We'll probably be having a Black Friday sale if you want to get some cool swag for Christmas. I play on our sister channel, Penny for a Tale, every Sunday with our Pathfinder game that Ian runs. And I think I'm playing on one of the shows next season, but I got up at 4 a.m. and I don't remember which one that was. But if you want, I also wanted to say next Tuesday we are doing a Dune roundtable event. We're going to have some of the writers and developers and people at Modifius on for, talking Dune and the game and everything like that. Cast, if you want to pop in, also super awesome to have you. Because
that is my birthday, so I will pop in.
Oh shit! My birthday's on Monday.
Happy birthday to both of you.
Yeah. So, speaking of season 2, there is that super cool Arrakis book that's coming out, and my birthday is on Monday. But anyway, definitely check out our roundtable thing. It'll be amazing to, hear about again, this is just such a beautifully developed book with so much love and heart poured into it. Hearing how it came to be from the people who made it, super cool. I am very excited. I don't know. I think that's all the things I have. Otherwise, our sponsors again are Modifius Entertainment. Thank you guys so much, especially for that raid. So cool. Green Ronin Publishing, Free League Publishing, and Imagining Games. Also, our next season sponsors, because, again, sponsors keep our shows running, and as do everybody else. Thank you to everyone who subscribed and met our retweet goals. Again, those help support the channel, and you got to have really cool extra added scenes for the players who had feelings and emotions about those extra added scenes. So thank you for helping contribute to those experiences so much. I will also be at PAX Unplugged, so if you see me wandering around, feel free to say hi and be like, what up? Or, give me some sort of alcohol, because that's how I function.
Yeah.
But yeah. In any event, I think that's about it for everybody. I'm going to stop rambling and try to go to sleep, because I've been up since 4 a.m. and it's really catching up to me.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Go to sleep.
Let's go out with the final flow.
The final countdown.
The final
I can't break the chain now.